Ian Ladyman, savvy Villa have spent £100 million Grealish cash well. In June of last year, as Aston Villa prepared for Manchester City to activate a £100 million buyout clause in Jack Grealish's contract, there was no sense of panic at the club. They had a plan for the summer. They had worked it out. If the talismanic Grealish stayed, then they would buy 3 new players. If he went, they would try to buy 6. I wrote about this on this page, suggesting that Grealish's departure need not be seen as a disaster for a team that relied on him too heavily. The reaction from Aston Villa supporters was not overly positive, to say the least. Sean Teal, once a Villa defender, informed me on Twitter I was talking bull-s apostrophe and should get back under your stone, you halfwit. Teal declined to follow up with a Christmas card. But, more importantly, where are we with all this now? Grealish eventually went and continues the slow process of proving himself to have been worth all the fuss in the first place. For what it's worth, I feel the 26-year-old will get there eventually at City. Meanwhile, his old club have not only coped without Grealish, they have moved forwards. Part of that is due to new manager Steven Gerrard, but also because a clear recruitment strategy has ensured Villa's squad is better than it was with Grealish in it. In terms of the numbers, Villa have invested £90 million in attacking players Emiliano Buendia, Danny Ings and Leon Bailey, and also have a £33 million option to buy Felipe Coutinho once his 6-month loan deal expires. I remain unsure about that one, but the very fact Villa felt able to give an ambitious deal a go says something in itself. Part of the Grealish money also enabled Villa to upgrade at left back, and Lucas Digne duly arrived last month. Give or take a few quid, and incorporating the proposed Coutinho deal, that all comes to £146 million, which is some spend given clubs are still coming to financial terms with Covid fallout. Villa, after a slow start, are 11th in the Premier League table, which is where they finished last year. Their forthcoming games are against Leeds, Newcastle, Watford, Brighton, Southampton, and West Ham, so there is scope for improvement. But regardless of that, it is impossible not to recognize how they have absorbed the impact of the Grealish sale and moved on. Last season, Ollie Watkins was bright up front but needed help. Ross Barkley, on loan from Chelsea, started well but faded. And then there was Grealish. If in doubt, give the ball to Jack. Now, it is not like that. Gerrard's squad is more rounded and reliable. The Digne transfer in itself could be crucial, as there was a weakness there. It has not always been easy for Villa. Mistakes were made in the market under previous sporting director Jesus Garcia Pitterch, and the club almost paid a heavy price. Villa only stayed up on the last day of the 2019-20 season and sacked Pitterch a day later. But Villa learned from those errors in a way some other clubs never seem to, and since then they have shown foresight and strategical intelligence in the market that continues to elude others in the Premier League. None of it guarantees success, but Villa have a chance at least. It's only when you see a club making it look simple that you wonder why others continue to make it look so hard. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has a new home in Barcelona and says the main problem at Arsenal had been with his former manager Mikel Arteta. The reality is that the problem was with the goal and putting the ball in it, something Aubameyang only did 28 times in the Premier League since being awarded the captaincy in November 2019. Indeed, since signing a new contract in September the following year, meaningful goals from a £250,000 a week player became even thinner on the ground. Progress under Arteta at the Emirates has not been as rapid as some would like, but the Spaniard has shown himself unafraid of big decisions, first regarding Mesut Ozil and now with Aubameyang. Arsenal fans should be grateful for that. Premier League transfer spending was up towards £250 million in January, which was just about where it was back when Covid was just a strange disease we were hearing about on the news in early 2020. Meanwhile, at Manchester United, suggestions that Jesse Lingard, a player who has talked about his mental health struggles in the past, had been given a weekend off work to gather himself after the collapse of a move to Newcastle, prompted an outcry. We saw the kind of reactions we could have expected had he torn the club flag from the top of the Stretford end and burned it. Back when things were properly bad in this country, when we were all confined to barracks and football wondered if it would ever hear the click of a turnstile again, there was much talk of a reset for our sport. It was much needed, we said. Time for some financial common sense. Time to number beckoned. I suspected then that none of this would last, and it appears I wasn't wrong. Strange how the mental welfare of players is all the rage until it starts to affect someone's football team. Then it's time to unleash the dogs. Again. Duncan Ferguson is now serving under his 7th manager as coach at Everton, but there are some whispers that Frank Lampard may need to be convinced about the arrangement in the long term. Sooner rather than later it may serve Ferguson's purpose to strike out on his own.